Getting some attention today as the comedian and actor Vince Vaughn becoming a cult hero among gun rights advocates after defending their Second Amendment in an explosive new interview. Vaughn says that he supports Americans having guns in public, including at schools, telling British GQ, quote, "We have the right to bear arms to resist the supreme power of a corrupt and abusive government. It's not about duck hunting. It's about the ability of the individual. It's the same reason we have freedom of speech. It's well known the greatest defense against an intruder is the sound of a gun hammer being pulled back," he says. Joined now by David Webb, radio talk show host on Sirius XM Patriot and Fox News contributor, and Leslie Marshall, also Fox News contributor and a syndicated radio talk show host. Welcome to both of you.
Good morning, Martha.
Good morning to you. So this is getting a lot of attention, I think, primarily because you don't hear this kind of talk much from folks in Hollywood. David, what do you think?
Well, and it's not new to hear Vince Vaughn say this. He's been very upfront about his beliefs in the past, but it's nice to have someone go out there, especially in Great Britain, where they don't have a Second Amendment, and stand up for the Second Amendment. He makes the liberty argument. He makes the constitutional argument. He makes the safety argument when he talks about, you know, imagine the middle of a night, it's silent, there's an intruder in your house, and suddenly they hear, you know, the hammer. When they hear the gun being cocked, it changes the dynamic. And he brings up an important point. Gun violence has gone down over the decades. There are exceptions, mass shootings and otherwise. There always will be an exception. But in fact, it's gone down, and it's largely because we have a well-trained, law-abiding population, for the most part, that respects our Second Amendment rights and acts appropriately.
Yeah. But talking like this, Leslie, in the circles that he goes in Hollywood, is not popular. I mean, you know, you are supposed to accept that being against guns and being against private ownership of guns and guns in schools to protect people, that is not a line that is going to go over well at the cocktail parties in Hollywood. There's no doubt.
Well, certainly we've had the people that are very pro-gun in Hollywood before. Charlton Heston is an example of that years ago. But here in L.A., not far from Hollywood where I sit right now, although most people are liberal Democrats and are in favor of gun control, they're not in favor of taking away people's rights and taking away the Second Amendment or taking away their guns. But there's a huge difference between somebody being a gun owner and somebody carrying a gun in public, because I, as a non-gun owner, have the right not to own a gun. I have the right to feel, and I do feel safer knowing that here in Southern California, I can go to Disneyland without my kids, you know, being exposed to that. And that's a choice that I have as well. I have to tell you, though, it's wild because you hear, remember when Liam Neeson was going off against guns and people were getting on him and his movies? Well, yeah. I'm seeing a lot of hero stuff from the NRA on the right with Vince Vaughn today. Very opposite, obviously, from when Liam Neeson spoke out about guns.
Yeah, well, he goes on to make another point here, and let's put that one up on the screen as well. He talks about schools, and he says, take mass shootings. They've only happened in places that don't allow guns. In all of our schools, it is illegal to have guns on campus. So again and again, these guys go up and shoot these effing schools because they know that there are no guns there. David, that's also not a point that goes over very well in many places in this country.
Well, too bad for those that it doesn't go over very well on. It's time we stop getting into wrong arguments and false arguments with those who want to maybe they can't remove, and they never will remove, the Second Amendment, but they want to restrict your rights. A criminal is opportunistic. A criminal will go after the soft target or the softer target. They will look for where they can be most effective, whether it's a mass shooting or a robber. In this case, we're talking about predominantly the mass shootings. And a gun doesn't guarantee you an outcome. But a good guy with a gun, or a law officer, or a law enforcement officer, or someone with a gun, does change the dynamic for the shooter. And Leslie talks about feeling safe in California. Well, you don't feel any less safe necessarily because someone has a gun in an open carry or concealed carry permit. You don't necessarily feel safe or unsafe either way. That's subjective. The reality is different.
Quick comment, Leslie, and then we got to go.
Two quick things. First of all, Columbine did have armed guards, so not every mass shooting is in a school and not everyone is not armed. And if not being armed makes us safer, then how come the United States per capita has the higher murder rate than Canada, the UK, France, Japan, Norway, and I could list others.
All right. Thanks very much, you guys. Good to see you both.
Good to see you.